So let's go back, and last we were working on Cognito. Now to open your directory service, you can either go to security, identity and compliance tab, and you can go to your directory service over here. Alternatively, you can also go for your directory service. You can just go and type that and just click on the directory service, where it will help you to host and manage your active directory. So right now I don't have any directory over here. So if you want, you can, that's a new feature wherein you can go and automatically replicate your directory in multiple regions. If in case someone has shared their directory with you, so that's the same as your sharing the account. So in that case, you can go to directories shared with me, and it will show you if any directory is shared with you. So you can click on review, or you can click on delete if you don't want to be a part of that directory. Right now, let's go to our directories and set up a directory right now. So this can happen via the Cognito users pools, which we have already done earlier. It can happen to AWS managed Microsoft Active Directory, or it can be via the Microsoft Active Directory in this case. So you can do either of them. We are going to choose it via AWS managed Microsoft Active Directory. So here you have two ways. You can go for enterprise edition, where you have 70 GB of space. It will come down to approximately $322. And or you can go for the standard edition, where it has 1 GB of storage for the directory service. Now over here you can go and give your DNS name whatever you want. So for example, let's go and give it like this. So whatever domain you have for that sake, you can go and give it over here. Now you can go and give a username over here. And if you want, you can give a description. So let's call it something like directory for domain this. And you can give the admin password over here. So let me just go and enter the password here and click on next. Now, in this case, it will ask you for the subnets. You can choose one of the subnets to be here and one of the subnets to be 1B. So you have two once you have selected this VPC. Now, if you have two VPCs, you can select any one of them. Right now, I'm selecting this. So I'm putting subnets in 1A and 1B. If you don't put any preferences, it's going to go and do it automatically for you. Next step, if you create and you click on create directory, so this directory will be created for you. And next, if you go and add in any machine to that directory, it will be visible. So let's click on create directory, and that's how you go and create a. Right now we have gone and we have created a directory. We'll just wait in for some time while the directory is being created, and we'll see after that. So let's just wait for the directory to be created. In the meantime, the directory is over here. You can see you can just go and modify the directory. You have this option of edit. Right now, because you don't have any user as of now, so you cannot go and do a reset user password. However, in case once you have it, you can go and reset the passwords. So after that, you can also go and delete the directory if you want to. So let it be. It will take some time in creating. This also is free for 1 month or 30 days. It's for 30 days trial. So right now, let it be created, and then once it is created, we'll start working on that. Oh, so it's taking more time. Let it happen. In the meantime, we'll just go and start with the more part about Active Directory, and we'll return to it after it is created. So why do we need the Active Directory in the first place? So Windows workload, whether it is on premise on the cloud, it usually requires Active Directory. So whether it is on cloud or on premises, latency is important, and the applications require Active Directory to be close to where the applications are. So if in case your machines are in the cloud, you might need the Active Directory in the cloud to decrease the latency. Active Directory is also critical service that in which the resiliency in the Active Directory architecture, it's important. Therefore, you don't want to rely on the network all the time. Uh, you may have a lot of AWS services and resources which you want to manage, and you want to leverage your existing Active Directory group and users that you already have to control the access to the AWS resources and services. Also, there are many applications that cannot do federation and utilize the Kerberos constraint delegation with Active Directory. So some of these applications can be front-ended by SAML or Claim, but the Kerberos constraint delegation against Active Directory, such as SharePoint. So let's have a look. So a user logs into via the Kerberos or the authn or the group membership to Microsoft Active Directory. And based on the authentication, they can log in into their application or to MS SQL. And the app, either they can go and connect with DynamoDB or they can connect with Microsoft Active Directory to go and have the access control for that particular app. So finally, why do we need Active Directory? So what are the choices for running it on AWS? So you have the self-managed Active Directory, deploying Active Directory or Amazon EC2 instance. In this case, the customer deploys and manages the Active Directory infrastructure and the data within the Active Directory. And then finally, AWS managed Active Directory, in which AWS manages the infrastructure and the customers are responsible for just managing the data within the Active Directory. So these are the ways by which you can go and work on Active Directory. So while it is creating, let's just go and have a look at it. In the meantime, it was taking quite some time for me to create the previous one. So I just deleted it and created a new one. Now let's have a look at this one. So if I go to AWS Managed Active Directory and I click on next and select the edition. So let's just go and give a directory name over here and let's give a password. Remember, this is the admin password or the admin for Active Directory. Now, in this case, if you select, let's say 1A and 1C, or in short, you go and select 1C at any of the places. So it gives you an error like this. So fail to locate availability zone AP1C corresponding to the subnet. So let's go back and then 1A and 1C, let's make it 1B and 1C and click on create directory. Again, it says the same error. So if in case you see the error like this, it is telling you that the problem is with this particular AZ or availability zone. In that case, this might also happen if in case you don't select anything. You click on no preference, it might go and automatically select 1C itself. In that case, it will error out. So the problem here is we understand that it's because of 1C. So what we'll do is we'll just not select 1C and go and select 1A and 1B like I did over here for my directory. So once it's all good, you should actually see your directory actually coming up. And once it is created over here, then the other things that you have to do over there, you can go and have a look at it right now. So if in case you have to go and add your servers to your particular instance or to your Active Directory in that case, so the only thing that you have to do is, so let's go to your DSCP option set over here, and you will go and create a new DSCP option set. So once that is there, inside the name, you can type AWS DS and DHCP. Now inside the domain name, you will actually give your domain name which you had created inside the directory. And the domain name servers are going to be the IP address that AWS will provide you after the directory has been created. So it should be good at this point if you create the DSCP option sets over here. Then if you want to go to your instance and you want that your instance should go and select this particular directory, or it should automatically be added to the directory. So for that, go to EC2. So if you click on launch instance over here, and let's say, yeah, important thing is that you'll have to select Windows Server only. So click on select over here, and let's say we go for a T3X large. Next, configure instance detail. Let's just go and select a VPC, which is the default one, and a subnet, because we had selected 1A and 1B. In that case, if you go and you will start to see your directory over there. So it will be -d whatever the ID is there. And that's pretty much it actually. So in that case, if you want, that's it. So in this case, your instance will actually be added to your domain directory over here. So that all will happen if you actually have your directory all set up and it starts to work like in this case. So it shouldn't be into creating state, rather it should be into the created state. So once it's all there, you can actually go to your instance and you can join it to your directory. So let's just wait for the directory to join in and to be created. And once it's there, we'll go and add our instance to our directory. So right now it's not multi-region, and the reason for that is it's not the enterprise edition. So enterprise edition, you can click on setup directory and you can click on next over here, and this is the enterprise edition it is talking about. So in this case, because you had two domain controllers, one was for 100, so one is for 50.400. Here two were for 322.56, so one will come down to 161.28. So if in case you go for a enterprise edition, in that case, if you go and create a Windows server, it will automatically go and have the multi-region one. So in the initial offering, it's not given to you. So we'll just waiting for the directory to be created now. So now if we go back to our directory, we'll see that my directory is actually active. And if I click on the directory ID, I can see that my directory already is there. And if I want, I can also go and enable the MFA. So it works the same way as you have your normal MFA. So you can add the MFA. If you want, you can also scale up the directory, or you can create a new directory. So your availability zone and domain controllers are available. You can choose your application management. If in case you have some applications, you can go and choose those apps also over here. And if you want, you can go and give the access to any of the users. Finally, the maintenance, if you want, you can create the notifications. You can create a snapshot of the data of the directory if you so want. So if this is all good, you can go and create an instance. So let's say you can create a Windows Server 2019 instance. So let's take this one, and now let's take a T3A large, let's say, and next configure instance detail over here. You will see your directory coming up. So that's your directory. Now, in this case, you can go and create a IAM role, and that role should be having access to your directory. So let's go for that. So let's just cancel it right now, and let's go and do the pre-request thing required to add my instance to the directory. So click on VPCs first of all, then go to your DHCP set here, click on the set and give it a name. Let's say AWS TCP DHCP, and over here give your domain name. So I've given my domain name. Now the domain name servers it will ask you. So for that, go back to your directory and have a look at your DNS address. So it's telling you the IP address of your domain. So just go and copy that as it is. This, and now if you click on create DSCP, it should go and create that. So that's your domain name now. So once this is done, you'll also have to go and add your instances so to your Active Directory. So let's go and go to IAM so that we can create the roles required for that. So IAM, and let's go to our roles. And over here, let's go for create role, and this has to be used by EC2. So let's give that, and Now inside this, I will have to give it the access for the directory. So let's go for SSM, and one is SSM managed instance core policy, and the next one will be SSM directory service access. So once you do that, just click on next, click on review, and let's call it like EC2 uh, directory, and we'll call it this, and click on create role. So once this is done, remember this EC2 directory will actually be needing it. So once that is done, let's go to our EC2 now. Now in this one, we'll go and launch an instance. And let's choose a Windows Server 2019. And let's select a T3A large. Next, select the VPC. Let's select the subnet as 1A. And the directory will be selecting the directory that we had already done. And this IAM role is going to be EC2 directory for the role that we had created some time back. So this is enabled. That's all good. Now, review and launch, and click on launch, and you can select a key pair and just click on launch instance. Now, if everything is good, you should have your instance, which is your Active Directory instance, and that can be used here. So let's call it active directory instance. So this instance is now connected to your directory, and this particular instance can be used, or it can be there as part of your directory. So this is how you go and create Active Directory. So now any user who is having the ID will have ID like, let's say, user at the rate of ankitsaxena.live or user2 at the rate of ankitsaxena.live. The same thing like what you had seen also inside your SSO. It's almost the same, but in this case, the IDs are created for the end machines over here. So this is how you go and work on Active Directories. Now, if you have to connect to the instance, you will have to click on the connect button over here. And this has to happen via the RDP client. So you can choose the RDP files and you need to get the password. To get the password, just you'll have to wait for 4 minutes, because once you create your instance in Windows, it doesn't give you the password straight away. So you'll have to wait for 4 minutes. By that same logic, the other instances are pretty good. You can go and work on them straight away. If they are non-Windows one, you generally have to wait for 4 minutes. So going back to my Active Directory over here, this whatever user password is there, if you want, you can click on the reset user password and you can give the new password as it is, and it can reset the password for you. It works almost the same way inside your Azure, and same way it works inside your AWS also. So that's the directory ID for you, and that's you can go to your VPC and create the IDs like we had done earlier. So let's go back to our instance right now, refresh it once, click there, click on the connect button, RDP client, click on get password. Here you will have to browse and give your key pair, which is over here. So let's go and give that. So once I click there and I click on the password, I actually get the password. So I do that and I get the password, which is like this over here. So now that the password is there, you can go and make a connection. In case you're working on a Windows machine, it is as easy as just clicking on the download remote desktop file and you can log it. If you are not on a Windows machine, no worries. You are still connected to your RDP or whatever client you have to connect to Windows machine, and you can use the ID and password to connect to it. So let's take an example. If in case I have to connect to a machine, I can just go there, and here I'll have to give the IP address. So let's just go and try that out. So click on the DNS and give your name. Now in this case, it doesn't have any gateway and I'm fine the user account. If you want, you can add the account over here. So in this case, just give the username. The username is this and the password is this. And you can call it something like AD Windows, Active Directory Windows, and click on add over here. Now, if you actually try to go and make a connection with that instance, it will actually go and make a connection with that instance. So that's basically how you go and make a connection with your Active Directory. And this Active Directory is part of your instance over here. So finally going back to, this is my instance that I have created. So if I go back here and I just click on the Windows icon and I click on the server manager, remember this is not your local Windows, rather it's a Windows server. In this case, if I go to the server manager, and so if I see I have the services over here, the file system services, the local server, our server. If I go and click on configure this local server, you can say that the workgroup is my domain name over here. So live. So that's the domain. So if you want to change, it already says that you are part of the domain. So that's how you go and create the machines inside AWS, and then you go and create your Active Directory. So now any machine which is there is part of this particular domain. So that's how you go and create your Active Directories, and then you go and add your instances to your Active Directories. The important thing to note is the VPC part about the DSCP. Then you also have to go and create the IAM roles. And if everything is good, actually, you should see that your machines should be connected to Active Directory. So that's it for Active Directory. In the next class, we are going to talk about the net service of AWS. Right now, it's time for test. So